It was the hottest day of the entire summer. I walked out of the convention center after doing a presentation like this, had a couple of heavy suitcases. I'd been on the road for almost 2 weeks, looking for a taxi cab. There was one parked right in front of the convention center, had just let one of the passengers out, and I walked up and he smiled at me, and he jumped out of the cab to take my bags. And let me describe to you what he looked like. He had shorts, kind of a wrinkled shirt, messed up hair. It looked like he hadn't shaven in almost a week. For all I know, he hadn't showered in a week. And I look at this man and I think to myself, moment of misery. Because as I look at him, I think, what's the inside of that taxi cab gonna be like? I mean, look at him. You know it's dirty and grimy inside the cab. You know it's the hottest day of the year. That air conditioning's probably broken. I'm not getting into a taxi cab. I'm getting into a moving sauna. And 25 minutes later, I will be out at the airport, drenched in sweat. My suit will be wrinkled for the day. And about the time I actually get out of the taxi cab, a little spring's going to pop through the vinyl seat and rip my pants as I get out. And that's when he said, in this deep Texan accented voice, sounded nothing like the man that I was looking at, and I can't get as low as he can go, but I will try. He said, "Get in the cab. It's nice and cool inside the cab. I'll take care of your bags." And he smiled. It didn't look right. And it sure didn't sound right. So I did what he said. I handed him my suitcases, and when I opened up the door, cool air hit me in the face. The air conditioners were working just fine. It was actually cold inside that taxi cab, and I sat down and I looked around, and it was spotlessly clean. And sitting on the seat next to me were 2 newspapers, the local Dallas paper and a USA Today, and in the middle where the hump is on the floor, there was a little bucket attached to the hump, and in the bucket was ice and 2 sodas. I couldn't believe it. I had to look back to make sure that guy was still putting the bags in the back of the cab. And he was, of course, and he eventually gets into the front seat. He picks up a dish of candy off the front seat, turns around, and he offers me a piece of candy. And that's when I remembered what Mom used to tell me. Don't ever take candy from strangers. I asked the guy as I opened up the piece of candy, I said, "Sir, I just need to know, is this your taxi cab or are you borrowing it from someone else for the day?" And he said, "Sir, this is my cab. Make yourself at home. Relax. The newspapers, you're welcome to read them and take them with you at the end of the trip. The sodas are yours. By the way, it's all compliments of me, no extra charge. It's a $22 flat rate from downtown to the airport, just like any honest cab driver would charge you. But I just want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride." And I thought, wow, this guy's good. When we get onto the highway, and he asked me a question that no taxi cab driver ever asked me before. Have you ever seen the famous fountain at Las Colinas? And I had no idea what he was talking about, a fountain. He said, "Oh, it's a famous fountain." He went on to describe it. He says, "It's right on the way to the airport. And if you've got an extra moment or two, I would love to show you the fountain. I'm not going to charge you any extra money. It's the same $22 flat rate. But if you've got the time, it's right off the highway, maybe a block or so off the highway. It'll take us like 2 minutes. It's a beautiful fountain. It's not only the most beautiful fountain in Dallas, and it's world famous. It really is. It's probably the most beautiful fountain in the entire United States. Would you like to see the fountain?" I said, "Show me the fountain." So I'm excited, and he's excited, and we pull off the highway as we go up a little bit further, and not even a moment or two, but maybe a minute or so off that, he screeches to a halt, and there it is. He jumps out of the cab, opens my door, literally yanks me out of the cab, pulls me over. He says, "Look at that. Is that the most beautiful fountain you've ever seen?" And I'm thinking, you are strange. But he was so excited about this fountain, and you can tell, very enthusiastic. By the way, for those that don't know what this fountain looks like, it's life-size statues of horses, a lot of horses. Actually, it's called the Mustangs at Las Colinas, and they're galloping across the water. And when their hooves are hitting the water, it's splashing up. And I swear you can sense the energy and motion coming from these statues. If you squinted your eyes and you didn't see big buildings behind these statues, it's in a big office area, you'd swear you're looking out on the prairie watching these horses run across the river. Anyway, we get back into the taxi cab. We're on our way back to the airport, and he asked me for a business card. And I gave him my business card, and then he gave me his. And he said, "Sir, I want you to keep my card. The next time you come back to Dallas, I need you to call me. Don't wait until you get here. Call me 2 or 3 days ahead of time. Let me know what time, what flight, what airline." He says, "I will be waiting for you." I will park the cab outside. I will walk inside. I will treat you like a limousine driver, but charge you the same $22 flat rate. He said, when you walk off that plane and you go over to get your bags, I'm going to be standing there with open arms, ready to help you out. He said, don't worry, you'll recognize me. I could not wait to come back and do business with this guy again. Because with the exception of that first impression, Frank, the cab driver, not only managed the moments of truth along the way, he created a few moments of magic for me, didn't he? I mean, was it a big deal that he had newspapers for me? And how about the trip to see the fountain? What did that cost? A little bit of extra time. Sometimes taking a tiny little bit of extra time is all it takes to make that customer feel that they're more than just a number, that they're more than just somebody you're collecting money from. Take the time, try to create a relationship, do something a little bit special. Frank took me to see that fountain. I couldn't wait to see what we're gonna do the next time I came back to Dallas. Maybe we're gonna go to the baseball game. I don't know. Frank figured out that if he gave a great level of service and he gave out his business card, maybe people would call him. If he gave them a newspaper that didn't cost them anything, or a 25-cent soda. And I love to tell that story because, well, it started out to be the moment of misery and it turned into a moment of magic, but the best part of the story came 4 days after that particular first ride. And I'm in my office in St. Louis, Missouri, where I live, and I open up my mail and there's a thank you note from the cab driver, Frank. A thank you note. Now, by a show of hands, how many people have ever received a thank you note from a cab driver or an Uber driver? It doesn't happen. Pretty amazing.